Jai Om Vishnu Paramahamsa Parvakachar Shastra Shishimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananakoti Vaishnava Vindi Ki Jai, Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhani Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hare. All glories assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glory Srila Prabhupada. So we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 2, second canto, chapter 5, text 35, together, and I'll also be chanting 36. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sa eva purushas tasmad andam nirbidya nirgataha sahasror vangri bhavyaksha sahasranana stirshavan eva purushastasmad andam nirbidya nirgataha sahasror vangri vaksha sahasnana shirshavan saeva purushastasmad andam nirbidya nirgataha sahasror vangri vaksha sahasranana shirshavan. Someone could chant. Yeah, it's kind of in my eyes. That's better. Machijis? Word for word. Saha, he the Lord. Eva, himself. Purusaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tasmat, from within the universe. Andam, Hiranyagarbha. Nirbidya, dividing. Nirgataha, came out. Sahasra, thousands. Uru, thighs. Angri, legs. Bahu, arms. Akshaha, eyes. Sahasra, thousands of. Anana, mouths. Sirsavan, with heads also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Lord Mahavishnu, although lying in the causal ocean, came out of it, and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat Rupa, with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. Purport. The expansions of the planetary systems within each and every universe, planetary systems within each and every universe are situated in the different parts of the Virat Rupa, universal form of the Lord, and they are described as follows. Next verse, I'll just repeat myself. Yasye hava yavir lokan kalpayanti manishinaha Katya adibir ada sapta saptor dvam jagana dibi. Translation. Great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. Purport. The word kalpayanti, or imagine, quote unquote, is significant. The Virat universal form of the Absolute is an imagination of the speculative philosophers who are unable to adjust to the eternal two-handed form of the Lord, form of Lord Sri Krishna. Although the universal form as imagined by the great philosophers is one of the features of the Lord, it is more or less imaginary. It is said that the 7 upper planetary systems are situated above the waist of the universal form, whereas the lower planetary systems are situated below his waist. The idea impressed herein is that the Supreme Lord is conscious of every part of his body, and nowhere in the creation is there anything beyond his control. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Praschatya Teshatarni. So, within this purport, Srila Prabhupada describes about how Krishna is conscious. He's conscious of everything, how he knows everything, and how he is controlling everything. So, Krishna knows everything because as a supersoul, the Paramatma, he is situated within every atom in the universe. And since he is situated in every atom, therefore, he is also within us. In this way, he knows everything. He knows everything within every corner of this creation. And as he states in the Bhagavad Gita, he tells Arjuna, "O Arjuna, I know everything that has happened in the past. I know everything that is happening at present, and I know all that is going to be. I also know all living beings, but me, no one knows." So Krishna knows everything, but as he states that nobody knows him, except for those who are favored by him. They know Krishna to a certain extent. Because, of course, we can't know everything about Krishna because Krishna is unlimited and we are limited. But to a certain extent, we can know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he knows everything. He knows why we are here. It is mentioned that how we actually got here in this material world is not really important. But we should try to get out. We are sick in this material world. So the important thing is to get out of the material world. But Krishna, since he knows everything, he actually knows how and why we actually got here, because he's all-knowing. So Krishna knows our desires, our intentions, our purpose, what we want to do, and he fulfills all our desires. So if we want to surrender unto him, if we want to please him, if we want to engage in his service, then he will make that opportunity available. But if we simply are doing something just to make a show, or our real intention is to become the master, become the controller, then he will give us that opportunity. If we want to simply enjoy, like so many people, they simply want to eat so many abominable things, then Krishna is so kind that he'll give them the body of a pig. In this way, they can eat anything and everything. Or they simply want to eat more and more and more. So Krishna will give them the body of an elephant. In this way, they could eat all day long, tons and tons of food. Some people, they simply want to engage in sex life, so Krishna will give them the body of a monkey or a pigeon. So in this way, whatever we want, Krishna will fulfill our desires. But with that, we have to suffer in the material world. Any position you take within this material world, you simply have to suffer, whether it's in the body of a human being or an animal or a demigod, is simply a place for suffering. So Krishna knows everything, but we hardly know anything. We don't even know how many hairs we have on our head. We can't even remember what we did exactly this time yesterday. Right now it's about 2 minutes after 8 o'clock. So if we try to think, what was I doing exactly at this time yesterday? It may be very difficult for us to remember. What was Srivas Prabhu saying during the Bhagavatam class that we may have to think? It may be very difficult. Because we are not all-knowing, we're limited, and therefore it is very difficult for us to remember. So Krishna is the supreme controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna, as is stated in Brahma Samhita, Krishna is the supreme controller. He's known as Parameshwara. Parama means superior or the supreme, and Ishvara means the controller. Just like sweet rice is known as the best preparation amongst rice preparations, and it is referred to as Paramanna. Parama means superior, and Anna means foodstuff. So in this way, sweet rice is known as the superior rice preparation. So Krishna is a supreme controller. He's controlling everyone. Everybody in this material world is a controller, but he is also controlled by somebody else. So Krishna, the position of Krishna is that he is the controller, but nobody controls him. So that's how you find out who is God. Is this person being controlled by somebody? Who is he being controlled by? And then, is that other person controlled by somebody? And if he is, who is he controlled by? In this way, if you search out more and more, then you will come to the supreme controller, and that is Krishna. He is the supreme controller. Nobody is greater than or equal to him. That is God. But every one of us, we are controlled, and we are controlling. So everybody. It's not, if you're controlling this world, there's always somebody who is greater than you, controlling you, or somebody that you're controlling. Only Krishna is that person who is, nobody is controlling him. So Krishna is controlling everything by entering into it. Just like Krishna knows everything, because he enters into the atom, and the atoms are in our body, and therefore he knows everything in the creation. So similarly, Krishna controls everything because he is also within everything. And it is stated that it is said that God has 10 hands, up, down, and the 4 directions, and the points in between them. So if God wants to take anything away from you, then how can you stop him? And if God wants to give you something, there's so much that you can't even receive everything he gives you. So in this way, he is the supreme controller. And Krishna controls us in various ways. And those who are in the material world, they are controlled by suffering. Krishna gives over the rebellious conditioned souls to the material energy. In this way, they suffer in the material world. They are controlled by Maya. So in this way, the living entities in this material world are suffering step by step. Padam, patam, yati, patam, natesham. Every moment there is danger. Every second there is danger. And this danger means suffering. We're constantly suffering from the threefold miseries. Maya is there with her trident. The trident is the threefold miseries, and we are suffering from other living entities, from our body and our mind, and from excessive heat and cold and earthquakes. So in this way we are suffering like anything. And Maya is punishing us. She is controlling us by punishing us, just like the prison house. For those who are rebellious, they're controlled by the prison house. In this way, they are suffering like anything. And they are suffering by birth, death, disease, and old age, which are the real problems of life. So that is Maya's business, is to punish us. And that's the suffering is there. Some people inquire, or they say, why are we suffering in this material world? Why is there suffering? Why do we have to suffer? And the reason why there is suffering in this material world is so we will inquire, why am I suffering? So in this way, we should take it as a good thing that there is suffering here. Otherwise, we won't inquire about the suffering. So it's a good thing. And this is the beginning of human life. That human life begins when we start to inquire, why am I suffering? Why are these threefold miseries being brought upon me? So those who inquire, they're actually human beings. Those who don't inquire are simply animals. The animals don't ask why. They don't ask why I am suffering. Why are these miseries brought upon me? They never inquire about such things. They don't have such intelligence. But the human being has the intelligence to inquire. And if he doesn't use that, then he's simply an animal. So everyone in this material world is trying to become the enjoyer, trying to become the controller. And in this way, they claim there is no God, that God is dead. Because if they have to admit that there is a controller, then they have to suffer. They have to account for their sinful activities. Just like a criminal, if he accepts that there is a prison house, and he has to understand that the suffering is there. So the materialists, they want to deny God's existence because they simply want to go on with their nonsense. So in this way, they say that God is dead, that there is no God. But just because they say that doesn't make it so. Just like the example is given of the vulture. The vulture lives by eating dead animals. So it's flying in the sky, wanting to eat some dead animal, especially a cow. He likes to eat the cow. And so he's cursing the cow, you die, you die. But just because they are cursing, just because he is cursing the cow doesn't mean the cow is going to die. So similarly, the materialists, they wish that God is dead, there is no God, because they want to go on with their sinful activities. But this will never happen. Simply their wishful thinking. So we could either be controlled by Krishna or controlled by Maya. There's no other option. So in either directly or indirectly, just like in a big company, there's a chief executive officer. So under him, he has so many departments. And in those departments, there's a manager head. And the manager head of those different departments in the big corporation is supervising or controlling all the workers. So in this way, the chief executive officer is indirectly controlling everyone. But when that same chief executive officer goes home to his own house, then he directly controls his children. So in this way, as children of God, we are very teeny, and we need the protection of Krishna. If you give a child freedom, then they will simply create havoc. They need to be under the protection of their father. And this way they'll be properly situated. So, Krishna is controlling everyone, but it is also stated that Krishna is controlled by love. This is mentioned in the Nectar Devotion as one of the 64 qualities of Krishna. Krishna has 64 qualities, and number 40 of those qualities is he's controlled by love. And Srila Rupa Goswami gives the example of Mother Yashoda when she was trying to bind up Lord Krishna. She was trying to do that, and it was becoming very difficult because the ropes were too short. But after some time, she was very tired and perspiring, and Krishna agreed to be tied up by Mother Yashoda. So in this way, out of love for Krishna's devotees, he becomes obliged to be under the control of his devotees out of love. He only could be controlled by love. Just like also Arjuna was ordering Krishna, take my chariot over here. So in that way, Krishna is controlled by love. And also, also a devotee is also controlled by love. The example, just that as the 40 qualities, all of the 64 qualities, 50 of those qualities also the individual souls have, and so they also can be controlled by love. Just like Srila Prabhupada gave the example that, yes, my disciples are controlled by love because whatever I say, they immediately do it, and I don't pay them anything. So in this way, they are controlled by love. So love means, one may say that I love my spiritual master, I love my spiritual master. But if you don't follow the rules of the spiritual master, then that love is not real. And similarly, and if you love Krishna, then you follow the rules that Krishna gives. Otherwise, where's the proof of your love? So that love is there, and so we have to follow the instructions. That's a proof of our love. And so those instructions are to perform sacrifice for Krishna, to perform austerities for Krishna in order to purify our existence. So that's the situation of tapasya. Tapasya or austerity means to voluntarily accept a painful situation to advance in spiritual life. Because in the conditioned position, spiritual life is very painful because we are in a diseased condition of life. Just like when you're in a diseased condition of life, if you have jaundice, then even though something is very sweet, to you it tastes very bitter. It's very bitter, especially in the beginning. As is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, happiness in the mode of goodness is like pleasure, is painful in the beginning, and it's happiness in the end, like that. So tapasya, we have to accept the means of tapasya in order to advance in Krishna consciousness. And this human form of life is only meant for tapasya, because only by tapasya can one realize the self. And without this tapasya, without this austerity, there is no question of salvation. We will simply have to remain in this mature world. It's not that we could just simply speculate and engage in sense gratification, just like the example is given of the so-called spiritualists, show-bottled spiritualists. They simply tell their disciples or students that you just could do anything you want, and just simply you could chant this mantra, give me $50, and this way you'll realize that you're God. So such so-called spiritualists, their position is very dark. They would simply have to transmigrate through the various species of life along with the disciples. They're not serious about engaging in devotional service or any type of tapasya. So there are 4 principles of austerity that Srila Prabhupada mentions. No intoxication, no meeting, no gambling, no illicit sex. So these are the principles that he requires his disciples to accept at the time of initiation, because this is required in order to advance in spiritual life. But these principles of the 4 regular principles, which by not following them destroy the principles of religiosity, which is cleanliness, austerity, mercy, and truthfulness. So these things are destroyed by not following these principles. And these principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness are destroyed. Those plus other things are destroyed by those who engage in too much sex life. So in this way, these things are destroyed. And austerity, specifically as the leg of religion, is destroyed by too much pride, either artificial or real. So this austerity is one of the 26 qualities, 26 transcendental qualities, which belong to godly men who are endowed with divine nature, as is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And this austerity is the wealth and the wealth and beauty of the twice-born and the renounced order of life. So with wealth, or with wisdom and with austerity, one can purify one's senses. In this way, one can engage in the devotional service of the Lord. So in order to be successful in any attempt, one has to engage in austerity and be dependent upon the mercy of the Lord. And to achieve that mercy, one has to engage in austerity and sacrifice all of one's riches in the service of the Lord. And by engaging in austerity, one sanctifies one's existence, and then one is able to reach the platform of spiritual happiness, which is eternal and ever increasing. So this process of tapasya, or penance, practice of penance, is the devotional service of the Lord. Because only by devotional, this process of devotional service, by this process of penance and devotional service, can one see the Lord face to face. Because it is only by the process of devotional service can one approach the Supreme Lord. Therefore, this penance is the internal potency. So this internal potency is exhibited by non-attachment to sense enjoyment, which is a result of perfect knowledge. Therefore, devotional service includes knowledge and detachment. And by this knowledge and detachment, and by refraining from all sinful activities, can one please the Supreme Lord and thus attain his complete mercy. So there's different austerities that one has to perform, such as the austerity of speech. So the austerity of speech means one should speak pleasingly, truthfully, not to speak, it's not agitating to others. So it's mentioned there that when one speaks, of course when one speaks to one's students, one has to speak the truth, even though it may not be very palatable. But if somebody is not your students, you shouldn't speak to agitate their minds. But for one's students, one has to speak the truth. And when one speaks in learned circles, one has to back up what one is saying by immediately giving evidence from the scriptures. And also, austerity of speech means to recite the Vedic literatures. And in this way, there's a limitless stock of Vedic literature, and one should study this for one's benefit. And also, there's austerity of the mind. And the austerity of mind, one of the qualifications or things of austerity of the mind is satisfaction. So one can't be satisfied if one thinks about sense gratification. If one thinks about sense gratification, then one will be dissatisfied. So in this way, one has to avoid sense gratification. In this way, one will be satisfied. In the material world, especially nowadays, they're agitating their minds in so many ways for sense gratification. They're always thinking about so many ways in their mind about it. So in this way, people are always unsatisfied. So these formerly people used to perform great austerities and penances, just like Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, he was insulted by his stepmother, and he wanted to sit on the lap of his father, and his stepmother said, "You can't sit on your father's lap because you're not my son." And he was very upset, and he went to his mother, and his mother told him, "If you want to attain the throne of your father, you have to go to the forest and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So in this way, he went to the forest and he performed great austerities. For the first month, every 3 days he would eat berries and fruits. And the second month, every 6 days, he would eat dry leaves and grass. And then the third month, every 9 days, he would drink water. And then in the fourth month, he would, every 12 days, would breathe in air. And then, at the fifth month, he would stand on one leg, because he was controlling his breathing. He was able to stand on one leg motionless like a pillar. So in this way, he was performing great austerities. But in this age, that is not possible to perform great austerities. But we have to perform certain austerities, which Prabhupada said in this connection. We have to follow the 4 regulated principles and chant 16 rounds. And we have to eat simply, but it's not that the Lord could eat simply. We should offer the Lord very nice foodstuffs, but we should eat very simply ourselves just to keep our body and soul together. In this way, we will be able to elevate ourselves. So, this instruction on Dhruva Maharaj is very important because especially nowadays, well, things are getting worse and worse. Srila Prabhupada mentioned how today people are spoiled. There's hippies and the children are spoiled. But they should be sent to the Gurukul at the age of 5 years old. And they should get training. So in this way, they'll be able to become devotees of God and go back to home, back to Godhead. And that the mothers of their children should train them to become like Dhruva Maharaj. Like Saruchi, she told her son to go to the forest to worship God, to worship Krishna. Not that you should stay home comfortably and engage and have a comfortable life. So in this way, it is recommended, she recommended her son to go to the forest. So this is the recommendation. Srila Prabhupada wanted this. He said that the leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement should establish institutes of learning for children of 5 years old all over the world. In this way, they could become like Dhruva Maharaj and achieve success in life. And the mothers should encourage their children to become brahmacharis and become advanced like Dhruva Maharaj. In this way, achieve success in life. And even if their mothers may not be so able to perform the austerities in devotional service, but if they have a son like Dhruva Maharaj, then their son will be able to take them back to home, back to God, just like Dhruva Maharaj did. So we could stop there. Are there any questions on any of these points? I think that's everything. Thank you very much. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.